the Truth, Money, and Freedom Podcast.
First of all, everyone, welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Saturday, the 27th of February. It's 2021. We're transmitting live from our Discord server, Truth, Money, and Freedom, and we have a lot of special people with us tonight. But we also have Dimi and Fringe Files, and they're gonna help us out tonight with this video. And also we have some of the regular gang here: GFI, we have H4, Homer, MFM, Mighty, Mendigo, Bitcoin. We have Mobile Dave, and of course yours truly, Timmy Chonga. So I'd first of all like to welcome all of you and thank you all for coming in tonight, especially Dimi and Fringe Files. And Dimi, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about the idea behind the billboard campaign that's going on with Silver Squeeze. I know you did an interview with Chris Marcus on this just 2 nights ago, but if you wouldn't mind letting our audience know what's going on with that.
Yeah, so the billboard campaign originally started as Chris Marcus's idea, and he thought we'd get together because a guy originally in Belgium had the idea to start a billboard, and he got it big, and it got like a lot of attention on Twitter and all over. So we figured that if we were to get a similar type of movement going on in our community, it would spread a lot of knowledge towards regular retail investors that have no clue what's going on in the silver markets or with precious metals.
Okay, gotcha. So the etymology is Chris Marcus. It was an idea started with him, and Silver, the WallStreetSilver gang picked up on that and has started an actual campaign. One thing I got to let you know is you guys are getting a lot of attention. Zero Hedge has done so many articles. I'm just kind of scrolling through them here. There's lots of Silver Squeeze articles in Zero Hedge. You guys are actually getting noticed by the alternative media. My question, unfortunately, I probably know the answer, Dimi. Have you guys gotten any attention from the mainstream media?
Yeah, early on, actually, when the whole GameStop thing was starting, we got on, none of our members personally got on CNBC, but we were mentioned on CNBC a couple of times, and I think Eamon Jabbers reached out to the head of WallStreetSilver, Ivan, and he talked to him for a little bit. So that was nice to get some CNBC exposure. But ever since then, we haven't really gotten a lot of exposure in the mainstream. It's mostly been our typical channels like Zero Hedge and stuff like that have been talking about us.
Okay, understood. Well, one thing I think would be a real good idea, we talked about this earlier, is basically by the way, this isn't a sexist comment. I'm not trying to be sexist. It seems like mainly guys are buying silver. And anyone can chime in on this, including Dimi. Now, we have with us the inestimable Fringe Files, and she is a lovely young lady who is a big silver collector herself. But what do we need to do to get women interested in buying silver? What kind of billboards maybe could we put up to actually entice women to actually look into considering buying silver? And so I'm just opening it up now, gang. Anyone have any ideas? Don't everyone talk at once. Fringe, go ahead. Dimi, go ahead.
I didn't have anything to add, but she said she should talk in a little bit. Her dogs are going crazy.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Fringe's dogs are going crazy, so she's not opening her mic yet. But the deal here is, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add is from our YouTube channel, I think the split in our viewers is 93 to 7% women, or 93 to 7% men to women. So we still have a little bit of women out there. It's not totally men, but the portion is definitely there on the male side.
It is such a large gap.
It is.
Think about it.
Fringe, what? I'm sorry, Mike. Let Fringe finish up, Mike. Go ahead, Fringe.
Yeah, coming from a ladies kind of aspect maybe here, trying to get into the mental of a normal lady, I guess. The idea of wealth in general for a lot of men and women out there, right, has kind of been changed. It's a matter of what kind of shoes, coat, or purse that you're wearing, right? So the
Yeah.
idea both for men and women, but especially to get women into this, is instead of, me going out to the grocery store and trying to one up Janice, who's always there at the same time as me, I just shouldn't care about those kinds of things. And I feel like maybe that's a lot of the women that tend to be into silver or investing in general.
Finally, the women are getting it.
Exactly. Right. And, nowadays you see this with a lot of younger men too, because they're wearing way overpriced junk, in my opinion. If you want to
Yep.
spend money on something nice, that's fine, but it should actually be nice, not just a bunch of junk. So I think personally, just the idea of wealth to the younger generation needs to be changed. Instead of keeping up with the Joneses, just worry about yourself.
Well, heck, if you invest in silver for long enough, you'll own the Joneses.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you'll walk around with a belt buckle that's an old silver dollar. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and that may be, but Fringe, let me ask you this. As
Ooh.
far as this silver goes with women, silver jewelry, is that still in vogue? I mean, is that something that women still do? Or are they more into gold
Uh,
at this point?
It seems to be, I think silver is more popular because it's what women can afford.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a good base metal, for things that are plated, because obviously a lot of us would frown upon something that's mixed with copper, other kinds of things that could turn your skin crazy colors. I'm not really into jewelry.
Greenish. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really into it myself, but the women that I see out there, I think that the majority of what I see around their necks is sterling silver or on their wrist. It tends to be sterling, and it's way, way, way overpriced. You guys should, I don't have a problem with jewelry. You've seen my necklace and my bracelet that I have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to pay an insane premium for it, you know? So I'm not big on jewelry, but I know some women that are. I just wish they wouldn't way overpay for it, because it's gonna
Well,
hurt a lot more if you had to go pay a bill or something with that. And
silver.
it being sentimental makes that kind of hard too, you would think.
Silver conches look good on anybody's belt, a guy or a woman's belt.
Mm.
Yeah. And most of those are old coins that got flattened out and made into the shape of a
One thing I wanted
convex and concave.
one
Yeah,
thing
go
I
ahead.
wanted
Go ahead, Dimi.
One thing I wanted to add about that topic is I was talking with my mom about diamonds or whatever, because a lot of people say diamonds are the girl's best friend, and those are the typical wedding gifts. But a lot of people don't realize the problem with diamonds is they're a monopoly, and they don't necessarily have inherent value. The value is just too cold. So
Well, this value is subjective, and it's by peer pressure, and plus they keep the diamond supply limited. You know.
Hmm.
But now the Russians have made this new synthetic diamond, and it's you can only tell by a natural diamond by its own imperfections.
That's true.
Because
If I could actually speak on that, I can. I have a very close family friend. He's basically like an uncle to me that's actually heavily involved in very fancy jewelry and loose diamonds.
yeah, there's I know a rift between two brothers that come from a jewelry company,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
one has a big jewelry store in southern Maine, and he will not sell these Russian-made artificial diamonds. He says it just ruins his market, and
Mm-hmm.
he'll only sell natural diamonds that are certified natural from, say, De Beers or another reputable diamond merchant.
Mm-hmm. And that's
And
very
he'll,
true. I've actually got the chance to
yeah,
see the difference in that. The
yeah,
synthetic diamonds are 100% flawless, but they're
yeah,
synthetic, right? They're
yeah.
man-made.
But the
So,
thing is, the younger couples nowadays, they don't have that cash supply. They don't have the savings
mm-hmm.
to buy that natural diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So the other brother with a smaller jewelry store serving remote northern Maine, where he serves Canada normally when the borders open as well. Um, that's how he makes his living, selling engagement rings, and diamond jewelry to wives and sweethearts. And he's
Can I interrupt
branded
for a second?
synthetic
Absolutely.
diamonds. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I've also thought, there used to be a lot of dinnerware that was made out of silverware as well. You'd have tea sets and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, anytime the price of silver goes up, a lot of that stuff gets melted down. It goes straight to the refiners.
And it's always nice for ladies, I guess, to have a nice table during Thanksgiving, the nice set of silverware they can put out once or twice a year.
I recently sold some old silver coin that were sterling silver. And
there's still a pretty good market for.
I got
there's sterling
price.
Silver. Yeah. There's still a really good market for sterling silver Christmas ornaments. I actually buy them for my wife and son every year. It's been a long thing that my wife's grandfather used to do for her. And then when we got married, I started doing it. And yeah, let me tell you, it makes a really pretty Christmas tree.
It's a good one, yeah. And lockets, they used to put people's pictures in when men were at war, and they'd put their girlfriends or their wives' pictures in these silver lockets and hold them around their necks, and vice versa. Can't do that with diamonds.
No, and the price of synthetic ones are half the price of the natural ones. So, and hence between the two brothers.
Yep, and that actually hurts the diamond market all around. From a couple jewelers I've talked to, that's their worst nightmare, is because it doesn't matter how perfect that natural diamond is. The fact that somebody can go get the synthetic one cheaper and it'll shine brighter, people do that.
Silver is a girl's new best friend, like Dimitri was saying.
Indeed.
Now, this might have just been a coincidence. Now, I go to the coin all the time, coin shop, and I went just the other day, and he still has plenty of silver, but he's been buying gold all last week. I went to see him, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Went to see him yesterday, and he had to buy 25 ounces of gold. He did not use any purchase because the price was descending all week, so he had a rash of people coming in. Can you buy these 3 ounces, these 5 ounces, this ounce, that? So he'd buy them. So I went in and I just started talking to him. I was curious, and there was this girl that came in. Now, she didn't know anything about coins, but she had one, and she wanted to be informed on what it was. Well, she had an Eisenhower dollar, and unfortunately, it was only worth $2.50. But that's what the coin shop, he'll only pay like $1.50 for them.
Hey, Mike, you're breaking up a little bit here.
He'll only pay like $1.50 for them.
One thing I'd like to bring up is I frequent the local coin stores here in Southwest Missouri in the Springfield related area, and I have not once, I have never seen a woman come in and buy silver. I have seen women come in and sell silver. So we have to reverse this somehow.
Well, I did tell her she was at the right spot if she wanted to buy some.
Yep.
And I pointed to the showcase, and she.
One thing I wanted to add about that is I do see a lot of women interested in cryptocurrency. So.
Yeah, they all know about it. All the ones I.
Than are regularly like in stocks and stuff like that. So I feel like we need to do a good job of trying to attract those women in the crypto space over to silver space. And I see a good amount of them on Twitter, but
yeah. Dimi, let me ask you something about that. Because I noticed the same thing, kind of like I've noticed with some other things that are out there. I almost wonder if it's purposeful, like they're being paid, because you get this young, pretty, big-boobed blonde going on and on about crypto or whatever she wants to sell, right? It could be anything from soap to crypto. Somebody's going to listen out there just because she's pretty to look at. Not all of the accounts look real to me. There are some real women out there that are doing an awesome job at trading and buying, right? But then I also see the other side of the possible fake accounts that are out there, or even just, people that are paid to speak on something.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I'm not mad at it, but I do see what's happening here.
I would agree with that. Like, for instance, you have Lindsay Lohan, who's recently been paid to speak for certain cryptos, but then you also have a girl that does Girl Gone Crypto, and this girl seems legitimately into it. I'm going to post her Twitter in the thing.
No, I've heard of her before, yeah. And then there were some other girls.
I think a big thing about cryptocurrency is a lot of people are trying to get rich in the cryptocurrency space, and they don't.
Well, right now it's hot. Right now it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I don't think.
go ahead, Dimi. I'm sorry.
I don't think either gold and silver should be advertised as a get-rich-quick scheme. Maybe
No.
you could, the miners could offer more leverage and stuff like that, but that's not what precious metals are about.
So, like a lot of Indian women hold a lot of precious metals. It's in their culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually said that more women in India hold more wealth and precious metals than like most of the world or something
Well,
like that.
they wear it.
Yep.
They wear their family's wealth.
Thing with their weddings and stuff like that. A lot of
Yeah,
their weddings are measured by.
Yeah, and it's passed down generation to generation.
Well, it's their dowry.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
China's the same way. They have more of a greater proportion too. I don't think it's.
Well, nobody knows how much silver is in India.
That's right.
Either, because they've had it for
and the
hundreds of
crazy
years.
Thing is, even the poor value it there. It seems like it's gone to them too. It's not,
No, to them it's always been money, like gold.
And I've heard recently they've lowered taxes because they raised taxes to like 18%, but they lowered it because there's a big black market in India. So it's important that we pay attention to India.
I think they tried to tax gold, but there was kind of like a revolt, and then they tried to make the temples put the gold in vaults under the government's control.
Mm-hmm.
President mentioned
The temples,
something.
and no, that didn't work out.
President in the chat mentioned something, and he says his girl buys more silver than he does. And I'd like to know why. Why does she buy more silver than you do, bro? I'm kind of curious.
Resin, speak up, man. We got to know here. Yep. So.
Well, maybe she just has the bigger bank account, guys.
Resin,
tell us.
Does your girl love silver more than you do? Is that what's going on here?
Also, I found a statistic here. Indian women collectively wear over 21,000 tons of gold on their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all in bangles and necklaces, but a lot of bangles because they're easier to trade and bring to the bank for a loan to get a seed for the crop.
Yep. So what do we do, gang? Go ahead, H4.
I was going to say, there's actually I'm going to have to go find the article again. There's actually a somewhat bad development in regard to what Mike just said regarding loans. So there's a couple of guys in India now that have figured out how to monetize the gold. And what they're actually looking at is, so there's a few things going on. One, buying gold is generational wealth that they transfer. There's also a big stigma. Everybody has life happen, and sometimes you have to liquidate, in order to pay bills. But there's such a huge stigma against that. So a couple of younger guys have actually figured out, and it's really only possible in a place like India where labor is so cheap, where you can sign up for an account on a mobile app. They will send a couple of people to your house. They weigh your gold, certify it. Then they put it in a container, seal it, and then they take it to a vault, and they have a body cam on the entire time that they're transporting the vault. And then once you have that balance, you can now monetize. You can store it, or you can also take loans against it. And what they've done is they've figured out how to scale the operation, minimize the fees, and make it easier. And kind of on one hand, it seems good if you're looking at it, kind of this weird modern economic level. You say, oh, look, it's all this on, non-monetized wealth that we need to activate into the economy. The flip side of that is you've also removed the stigma of losing your gold, because now the last time your neighbors see is, oh, look, so-and-so put all their, what they're not saying is, well, then they took a loan, didn't pay it back, lost other gold, because that part's invisible. So there are some people asking questions about, is it really a good thing or not? So I hope we don't see a negative cultural impact of that.
They've had this system that works. They don't really sell their gold. The farmers, mostly, they take their gold, and their wife wears it. It's their wives' gold from her dowry. The thing is to try to grow that dowry. Anyways, he'll take like a couple of bangles or whatever they need for seed. And they have a special kind of banking system they've been using for generations. And they don't buy the gold, they lend you the money. They hold the gold while you get the borrowed money. You buy your seed, you plant your crop, you reap your harvest, you sell your harvest, you go back and you get back your wife's bangles. They may not be the exact same bangles, but they'll have the same weight in gold.
Hey, I'd like to say that Resin has chimed in to the big question. Apparently their safe is now full of silver. So Resin, Resin Nunn, may I suggest a second safe? You can have a his and her safe, in the house there.
Yeah, I like decoy safes.
Yeah, well, that would be 3 safes then, but...
Can I throw in for a second here? I saw that comment, and I'm not harping on anyone, but you should never let that info out into the public.
Well, it could be a very small safe.
It could, but that leaves someone else out there with bad intentions. Their mind is wondering.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I still don't like the way the Queen looked at my silver stack and my gold stack. Mm-hmm. Her eyes just got bigger than silver dollars.
Yep. So what else can we do to raise awareness to the point, do you think, guys, to pique women's interest in actually acquiring investable silver? Jewelry's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But, it is, as Dimi had said earlier, it's 7 to 93%. 7% women, 93% men buying investable silver.
Well, I also mentioned, I don't know if silver, I have some old silverware that I inherited from my father, and it's like silver teapots and actual silverware. It's all silver. It's not just steel plate or stainless steel or silver plated. So I think that could be something that plays a role. I also think silver gives me a sense of independence.
Yeah.
I think that's important for both women and men.
Mm-hmm.
I think a good person to ask maybe would be Mike, because he's one of the older guys in the chat, and because he's lived through the craze and
silver just basically helped me stretch my dollars. It was my savings.
But were women interested in it back then? How?
Well, no. It all changed when people started talking, well, he's a millionaire, but it's on paper. Because that's when it started saying the dollar was debt.
Well,
that's when they changed the little 5 fine writing on the dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say, just to throw this out here, my maternal grandmother is the one who taught me about silver. So, but she lived through the Great Depression. She saw silver actually, be demonetized in the United States in 1964. Mm-hmm. So she taught me that was real money. The new stuff that was coming out was kind of fake. And so to collect all the silver, constitutional coins here in the United States, but also she went through the Great Depression. She knew about silver and gold. Yeah. Hey, Craig.
Yeah,
Craig, could you mute your microphone while you're typing, buddy, please?
Yeah, I was raised by a woman and a dad that grew up during the Great Depression. I knew what gold was. Mm-hmm. I knew what silver was. The thing is, people nowadays, they only know, they don't look at it monetarily. They look at it as something very expensive that I can't afford to buy every month. As far as gold.
Well,
for instance,
buy a gold
ring.
You and I are guys, though, Mike. I mean,
Yeah.
so and women like to display the nice stuff.
Okay,
And
I'm guilty. I would buy my girlfriend's
necklace,
gold
bracelet,
necklace or rings or a bracelet. Yeah, I'm guilty. I do that.
So, whereas guys are more about squirreling it away in a safe, girls are more about displaying it. So maybe that's part of what we need to think about too. What do you think
I
on
like
that?
displaying it too, but then I couldn't walk around with ounces of gold in my pocket with a big fat ring on my hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got rid of the ring and kept the gold in my pocket.
Well, so I think part of the challenge is some of the venues of mass appeal come through things like multi-level marketing, right? So there's how many different, aside from the big ones that everybody's heard of. You've got Amway, you've got Pampered Chef, you got all those, right? But there are some smaller multi-level marketing things that jewelry, and it's kind of cheap jewelry, it's baubles.
Yeah.
I think one of the fundamental challenges is if that type of marketing vector get a lot of traction, the problem is most people that are interested in promoting sound money are not the type of people that would support the obscene markups that would be required to make an MLM, right? Because you're not going to sell it anywhere near spot, right? You're going to have some sort of markup, to pay for the jewelry production cost. Then you're going to have to support how many different layers of profit taking on the way. And anybody with any sort of ethics is going to look at that and say, I'm not going to sell, a necklace that weighs 1 ounce is $150 and pay 5 different people so they can their version of the the pink Cadillac that they drive around because they're at the ultra sales tier. And so I still think it's going to come down to ease of utility, and this is where I think sometimes advocates of sound money get in their own way.
Well,
I mean, I know we're all believers in holding things, but when you look at things like One Gold and Coinbase and all those things that make it very easy to acquire certain types of assets, that's what's going to help enhance the popularity.
Well, I know I've gone to jewelry stores and I've offered them gold coins, and they've made me bids, serious bids, and sometimes I've sold some. Same thing with silver. If they're only interested in 3.9 minimum, they're not interested in sterling. Some might buy your junk silver, but most are not. But not all of them, but most of them will buy your 3.9 silver because they'll do that as a sideline, and sometimes they are stackers themselves.
Okay,
I say something.
Go ahead, Homer.
I'm just kind of thinking, and it looks like that we're kind of going through a societal shift. We currently consume a lot. We throw a lot of things out.
Oh, we've been that way a long time. Yeah.
Buy a lot of things, buy a lot of clothes, buy a lot of jewelry, and it kind of gets thrown out. I think as time goes on, as people might get poor or want to hold value, they might look for things that they might wear, 10 times, 100 times. And so they might buy things that hold value more over time. And I think silver will fit that kind of thing when it comes to jewelry, as more people understand value. I think that shift will come and take. Everything I believe kind of runs in cycles. So I think we could be coming into another shift like that. I mean, just the fact that we're sitting here talking about it at this point in time right now, I think says a whole lot. For instance, my grandparents, who I never met, were born in like 1890 and 1880, used to be in the jewelry business in Ireland. And the ladies made the jewelry at home, and my grandfather would go out and sell the jewelry and down the Irish coast and place like that. So it's very interesting, and I think we could be going into another cycle.
Well, every time you make something with silver, you're repurposing that silver.
Sure.
I mean, it could have been a knife, and then you turn it into something else, a piece of jewelry.
How about this, though? Let me throw something out here. Fringe, I mean, I'd love for you to chime in on this too. As women have become more independent, let's say 100 years ago versus today, do women think about retirement? No, I'm not going to say that all men think about retirement, but I would say that most of them do. They start saving. Do women think along those lines as well? And I'm referring to investable silver right now, but that could be jewelry as well.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, and I'm about to say something that might make some of you guys in here a little bit upset, and it's totally understandable. There's a big difference in men that are over, 30, 35, I'll go with that, and then people that are truly around my age or younger, because when I look at the folks that are older than me, right? I'm saying like 30, 35 and up. Let's keep it there. Those men are they're kind of still in the mindset of I can take care of my woman, and they're actually acting, in my opinion, like men. Like even if she doesn't need it and she could go off and be independent, he's still going to take care of her. It seems somewhere the roles have really reversed, because many of my friends that I had, those women were making more than their boyfriends, their fiancés, or their husbands. And the husband just kind of sat there like a lazy couch potato. He's just mooching her. So roles have kind of reversed, and it's really messed up for I think society in general. And yes, these women do think about investing, but they're not truly, in my opinion, investing in things that are hard assets. They're much a part of MLMs, like what was talked about earlier, real estate and the stock market, and even some into crypto. But I don't see the real hard assets or getting into something that makes your money work for you. It's kind of this, they've bought into the idea of all these paper assets are the way to go and build as much debt as possible to get yourself further. And we've just really got to pull people out of that kind of mindset. And the scariest thing truly is that men out here, or I should just say grown boys, man children, are walking. Yeah, man child. I don't like that, because we've seen in society before, there's kind of a way that things are supposed to be. That's my opinion. I might piss off some ladies too, but I don't want a couch potato. I would like to have somebody that's on the same mindset that I am. And, I have a guy that takes care of me, but I see a lot of my friends out here, they don't have the same thing. It's scary.
Well, I grew up in a family like that. My mother would work. She was a school teacher and a principal. It wasn't always that way, but...
Well, in regards to an investment, basically you're saying real estate and stock market is what's most appealing. How about cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I do see crypto. But the sad thing is so many people, and women too, a lot of people get caught on the hype. And they're not in it before the hype is there, and they don't know when to necessarily get out, or they throw everything that they have in, and then you end up just losing it, right? I've seen that a couple times. And for me, I'm just a very patient person. Whenever it comes to crypto or anything out there, there's probably a specific price target that I would like to get in on. And if I miss that, then I'll wait.
You'll wait.
I'll wait for an opportunity. I'll be very patient. I don't rush myself into anything. That's how people mess themselves up.
DCA,
everybody wants to,
you bet.
Yeah, they want to get rich overnight, and that's not the way that things work.
I think that's a good point you bring up there too, because it doesn't seem like there's a financial education. Like we're not learning these things in school.
No.
What real value is, like you're talking about the metals and things like that. We've gone away, and they've been tricked into just investing into these counterparty paper stock markets. We're really just buying brands and speculating at this point because of low interest rates and things like that.
And I wouldn't be so upset with it if people had the mindset of, hey, I need to back a certain percentage of what I make or what I invest. That needs to be backed in something real. It needs to be backed with something liquid that I could move tomorrow, right? Like houses are not liquid. Cars are not liquid. Even jewelry, for the most part, is not liquid. You can make really nice money selling Rolexes, but guess what? When no one has a job out there and nobody wants a Rolex, no one's going to buy it. Like, they're just selling it at that point, right? it's all just very interesting. I only brought that up because I do have a close friend that he sells really nice jewelry and, like I mentioned earlier, loose diamonds and gems and does custom work. But sometimes it's hard to move that stuff. If people get kind of shaken out of markets or get a little shaken up and feel financially insecure, they're not buying that stuff.
Let me ask you another question along those lines then, if you don't mind, Fringe.
Mhm.
Long-term investments. Do women in today's day and age, I mean, the independent woman out there, is she thinking long-term on investments, or is she thinking short-term? Give me an aggregate. I know you don't know every woman out there, but
Mhm.
an aggregate.
I would say for a lot of people, and I'm actually going to say people in general, let's not just go with women. I think people are looking at short-term things,
Okay.
more importantly, long-term. And maybe it's just because they're still young. They haven't quite thought about the long-term just yet.
Okay.
And there are people, I know folks that give into 401ks and IRAs, which are not my favorite thing. But they are thinking long term, but it's a very small percentage of what they make that goes into that. And it seems as if they're only in it for tax benefits.
Then, if you don't mind, Fringe, I'm going to ask you quasi-personal question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
How old are you?
24.
24. And when did you start buying silver?
I was probably 18 when I first bought silver.
Can I ask you why you bought silver at 18 years old?
Well, I didn't have the most money, and I was kind of playing back and forth on trying to get, kind of my own small business up and running. And at the same time, I wanted something to back probably what I was doing. And I hit a lot of failures, right? But none of that was ever a true failure to me. It was just kind of a learning experience. And in the back of my mind, I felt okay as long as I kept buying a little bit more silver because I knew I had something to fall back on
Mm-hmm.
if there was an emergency. So meanwhile, I am working, a part-time job. I'm trying to get things started with the online world and trying to make a way for myself there. And I just wanted to make sure that I was protected in another way. And the way that I kind of already knew about silver, I guess, is that my grandpa was into it and he would show me some of his collectible stuff, but he would also go through junk silver and tell me all about it. He needed somebody to talk to, but some of it really stuck with me. And the financial moves that he's made in his life, that really stuck with me. And, he kind of told me what had happened during '08, where he was at one point a millionaire and that fell apart. But at the same time, he was also able to buy a house in cash when the housing market crash happened. And all these things kind of stuck with me. And the boyfriend that I have today, or I should just say my partner, he was into silver as well. And together we would just kind of learn more about it. He was kind of already in it, but he kind of, guided me towards some other directions because I didn't know the best way to go. And I started off just buying junk silver, but, it kind of turned into not only buying junk, like I'll buy some bullion here and there. And then, now at this point, I feel good. I'll go out and help other small people out there that maybe do their own pours or have unique designs. I love Silver Shield. When and if I can afford a Silver Shield, I'll buy one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of keep this stuff in rotation.
So you were literally thinking about, the value of silver against the dollar when you were 18 years
Yes.
old. See, that's interesting
Yes.
to me. I was 15
Well,
years old.
financially,
Go ahead.
we didn't grow up super secure financially. It was just really my mom taking care of us. And that's not because my dad's a bad dad. It's just because my mom was actually kind of a not so great mom. Y'all guys some of you might have even dealt with that if you have kids and had to deal with a divorce.
Yeah.
But neither one of them were very financially savvy. My mom did work really, really hard, but it always surprised me how hard she had to work just so we can be in a 2-bedroom, tiny, 500 square foot almost apartment. So I found that to be really interesting. And as time went on, the apartment stayed the same size, but the monthly bills on it continued to go up. And I realized that from a really young age. I was always aware of what was happening around us. So I figured out very early that I need to be invested in something that's stable, so it's there when I need it. And banks aren't always the most stable place to keep your money either, as it's disappearing daily, right? That same dollar won't buy you as much tomorrow. I learned that very, very young. And I also learned that if you really want to make it and be comfortable in this world, you need to do something for yourself. You can only go so far when you're working that office job, right? Or any job out there. We're not in a world today anymore where you can keep moving up. They always expect more from you, and that means another piece of paper that you paid for that says you can handle this job. And in reality, we've seen that that doesn't work out. Just because some young kid went to college for 6+ years and has a degree in something doesn't mean that they're the most fit for the job. I learned that too. If you were going to go to college, go and learn a trade, not, you know, whatever people are learning today. That made no sense. So student loan debt was a big deal. Most of my friends were older than me, and I saw the amount of student debt that they had, and they could not get life started. So I don't know. I just knew from a young age, I guess, that I wanted to do something for myself, be independent, and just get the ball rolling as soon as possible.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I hate to put you on the spot. You've done a fantastic job tonight helping us out here, but let's just say that tens of thousands of WallStreetSilver people are listening to this video, which is possible. It could happen at some point. And we have a lady's point of view on the 27th of February, 2021. What do you think would help women understand the value of investing in precious metals for their future?
Well, you spoke on independence earlier,
I
right?
did.
And, you know, with this, I wouldn't really call it a feminist movement, but if that's what they want to call it, we'll run with that. If you want to be as independent as possible, that means you need to take matters into your own hands. A lot of women out there are still kind of using that woman card and using it as sort of a handout sort of deal. I see that happening. I can speak on that. It does happen. And they can use that to their advantage, but it will only last for so long. When everything does come crumbling apart, you need to have real assets in your hand, because the blink of your eyes or using some sort of, I don't know, shady little slogan that makes people feel some kind of way emotionally, or because they need to be more diversified, that's not going to work when everything comes crumbling down. You need to have stuff for yourself and be independent for yourself.
Sure. You know, there's a lot of young couples out there that are one car repair away from insolvency. You know, and if they had, you know, just put a little bit, and, you know, by the way, we're not financial consultants here. None of us are. But it just makes sense to throw a little bit in precious metals. You know, shoot, if you can invest in real estate, if you can put a little bit in cryptocurrency and actually save for the future, especially in these challenging times where it does look like we're going to be, I hate to say it, going into higher inflation soon. Not later,
It's
sooner.
happening.
Yeah.
It is happening. But that's where there's the difference in people out there, right? Because there are people that'll go, oh no, I'm the victim of this situation. And there's people that are going to go, okay, how do I make the best out of this situation? We have seen time and time again throughout, this is globally, not just here in the US, right? When really hard times come to pass, there are those that fall off because they did not invest properly or understand how to continue business. And there are those that thrive because they see an opportunity somewhere. So no matter what's happening around you, even though it looks like everything is falling apart, you have to step back and go, okay, how do I take advantage of this situation? Am I in a position to take advantage of this situation? That's just the mind. Everything is all about mindset to me. People have got to have the proper mindset, because times are going to get tough. It'll be tough for all of us. Even if you were prepared in every way possible, it'll still be tough.
Sure.
But how do you make the best of it?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking, you know, what would be a great billboard slogan to get women's attention about, you know, silver, investability, investment grade silver. It could be jewelry too. You know, women love silver too. Single moms love silver. I mean, what do you think would be appealing if there were a billboard that could represent? Listen, silver's for women too. You know, you know, throwing stuff out there.
I kind of liked silver is a girl's new best friend.
Yep.
Dimitri got me thinking about that one.
Have her
Or
throwing
silver
away a
saves
diamond.
lives.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Silver saves lives.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Something like that, I suppose. Any way you slice it, I mean, it is a very, very weird disparagement between men and women who buy silver. And we found that very interesting as Dimi is working hard with the WallStreetSilver gang, coming up with ideas for billboards and everything. We thought it'd be really wonderful, basically to have a little chat about why, and this had nothing to do with the billboard thing. It was an idea we had earlier today. Why women necessarily are not necessarily buying as much as men, and actually those seem to be bore out pretty well with statistics we're seeing now. But Fringe, you are an exceptional young lady, buying silver at 18 years old. I had to have someone literally teach me what silver meant, what it is, what real money was. So maybe part of what we're missing here is education.
I would say
Can
so.
I say something?
Really, I'll say really quickly, maybe I was just willing to take on a little bit more risk, because even before I knew as much as I did today, I didn't want to wait to learn everything there was about it. Silver was at a good price. I figured, let me just get in and see where this goes. What I'm putting in isn't going to hurt me. And then as I learned more, the more bullish I was on silver. It just continues to grow every day.
Okay, Homer, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I think on that note, I think unfortunately Americans are just going to have to learn the hard way when it comes to an inflationary environment, because we haven't seen inflation, since the early 80s or late 70s,
Something like that.
when they had an inflationary rise. But from a male's point of view, I like silver because it's something I can touch, something I can hold, something, it's something physical and it's in my hands and I can appreciate it. That's from a man's point of view. I mean, other than, I have a history with it from my parents and things like that, but it's something that I like.
And
Mine.
you don't need to be rich to buy it.
Right. That's a good point, Mike. Thank you.
You can just keep buying a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you can swap it for gold if you like, when the ratio, between gold and silver gets smaller, and so, that's like getting free gold. But at any rate, for the time being, we're going to kind of keep an eye on this topic, I think, as Dimi and all of his friends over at WallStreetSilver are looking for good ideas for billboards. I would like to bring up real quick on the thing here that they did get coverage. Actually, they have a GoFundMe page. I'm going to link this down below. Hopefully this will take you to the GoFundMe page if you guys want to help fund, and they're almost at their goal. It's 15,000. They're at 12,513 as of the time of this article. Dimi, do you have any updates on how much you guys have raised for billboards?
I haven't checked that recently, but I think last time, definitely way past what you mentioned. We're at $37,000 raised.
Wow.
Holy mackerel. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Our new goal is 50K.
Okay, gotcha. And so there are and I'm going to ask some really strange questions. Are they targeting specific demographics with this? Are they looking to target, women, for investing in silver,
I'm
or
not exactly
younger folks?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure. I think we have somebody, Marcus from Arcadia, has reached out to him to talk to. So we're definitely going to have some expert opinions on this, not some rookie trying to just.
I make one more comment when you guys are done there.
Absolutely. Go ahead and finish up, Dimi, and then we'll let Homer take the floor.
Yeah, you're good to go, Homer.
Okay, I was thinking, I watch a lot of YouTube videos on different people, and I see a lot of common things being asked, where do I buy silver and gold? A lot of people don't have an understanding where to buy it. They're not sure what they're buying. I think, how do we make a simple way to understand how to buy this stuff? And also, whoever we do direct them to buy it from, they're also benefiting from it as well. So I think WallStreetSilver should get some kind of acknowledgement or advertising out of it somehow as well, or referral bonus or whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea of putting Miles Franklin at the bottom of every sign sounds appealing to me. That may not jive with everyone here, but I think that putting Mike Maloney at the bottom of one sign and then Miles
I think
Franklin at the
that's
other
fine.
one.
I think that's fine and everything, but Wall Street Silver is like a homegrown movement. Those guys have been around for a long time. It's great if they promote us and everything, but if you guys scratch their back, they should scratch back, I think,
Yeah. So
kind of fair.
Yep.
We just had SD besides
Bullion
right now. They made a $5,000 donation to our
Wow.
campaign.
Okay.
Didn't you? You said SD Bullion, sorry?
Yep, SD Bullion.
I watched that interview. I saw an interview. You guys do an interview the other week. I thought it was really good. That guy was top notch.
Yeah, James Anderson's a really great guy. Eligible.
Yep. Well, that's wonderful, man.
The movement too.
Okay, so basically, maybe go ahead. I'm sorry, Homer.
Sorry, I was just thinking, keep that relationship going because I listened to that guy and I thought he was very good. He was very open. He seemed very honest, transparent, and his dialogue was really good. He was well versed on a lot of different things, and he was very natural. He was a guy you could sit down, smoke a cigarette, and have a beer with, or whatever.
See, that's what we need in this community. A lot of people turn away from other folks because they don't relate to them. They don't really believe in them. I'm going to throw that out there. There's a lot of names out here that we're all familiar with, but the moment that I mention their name, somebody makes a face about it, right? They don't really like that person because they can't relate. And Homer, what you were saying there is so true. Whenever I have someone discussing or me watching a video about any topic out there, I want to be able to relate and feel comfortable as if I could be in the same room with them and feel comfortable in the situation.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, but yeah, and once again, here we are, talking about something WallStreetSilver has thought up, but hopefully some of them get to watch some of this video and they can get some further ideas on how to market to specific demographics. In this particular case, we've been talking about women, but with kids, I've taught my grandkids and my daughter about silver. And so they do acquire silver. All of them do. But I realize that that's an anomaly. Not a whole lot of people know a whole lot about saving silver. Literally saving it like you save, dollars and quarters in your piggy bank. Teaching that to your grandkids. Giving it to our grandkids for Christmas and birthdays.
Well, that's how I save my money. That I can't, since I'm on Social Security, I'm only allowed a certain amount of money in savings on the bank.
Yep. Well, with this
Anything
silver,
over that,
a leather piggy. It's an actual little piggy, and I still have it. It's from like 1930.
Well, I had real silver in my piggy bank when I was a kid.
Yep. We all did, Mike, when they still had silver in our money.
I was the first generation that had to go without it. I mean, we had it. I mean, I was a kid, and then I was 10 years old, and it took the silver away. No, it took it away when I was 8. 9. Yeah.
It is very hard to make younger kids. Like I have one of my father passed away a couple of years ago at this point, but I talked to a lot of his Irish friends, and I have another friend he's 83, 84 at this point, and he's buying his grandchildren silver. But at the same time, he's buying it for them, but I don't think they truly understand the value of it at this point.
Well,
and I think there needs the connection made there, some kind of how to relate it to something.
Well, you know how that silver disappeared when they took it out of coinage in '65?
Oh.
It was all the cash businesses, the movie theaters. Back then a movie cost you a dime. If you were a kid, you were a dime. If you're an adult, it was 20 cents or a quarter. Everything was less than a buck. You'd buy a popcorn for 25 cents. All that pocket change was in silver. So, like the movie theater guys, they were all mom and pop operators back then. The corner grocery store, the little mom and pop store that sold potato chips and soda and cigarettes. They're the ones who kept all that silver. They didn't bring it to the bank. They bagged it and they put it in a closet or they put it in the basement. That's what happened to a lot of the junk silver. It disappeared. Sure, there was like regular people. They wanted to keep their silver. They kept it in the back of the drawer somewhere, and they kept checking their pocket change for it.
Yep.
And then they put it away. But business owners, they had money bags of silver, that they kept away. And they were smart. And then when the silver went up to almost $50 in the 80s, that's when they were selling that stuff because there was a demand for it, for melting it down to make 3 9 bars.
Yep.
So.
All right. I'll tell you what, we're coming close to an hour, so I see 4 ounces has joined us. And, pardon me, gang, I'd like to give him his due because he has been in our group for 7 years. 7 years. We're an old silver stacking group, by the way. We're on Discord now. We didn't start here. But it was 4 ounces who's always been saying the way you actually get silver to appreciate in value is get women interested in buying silver.
Yep.
And so 4 ounces, that's why I invited you here tonight. If you didn't catch the beginning of this, WallStreetSilver is starting a billboard campaign. And we're, in the form of this video, going to try and help them with some ideas to attract women to buying physical investable silver. And so that's kind of what this was about. And I thought of you instantly when we talked about it earlier today. So 4 ounces, like I said, has been on top of this. He knew this would be big for the silver movement if women got involved in buying investable silver. So
women are more like a social animal. They talk more to each other, and the guys talk to each other.
Yeah, they do. And by the way, if anyone wants to chime in with any comments or questions for Dimi Fringe Files, please do so, because we're going to wrap up the video here pretty soon.
But I do know that most women know the gold is expensive. They don't really know it's money. Same thing about silver. But they do know about Bitcoin. They do know about Ethereum and a few other.
But Mike, that's really because the fantastic gains in cryptocurrencies.
Well,
and that's it. We're talking about holding something real for long term. By the way, Conjecture wanted to chime in. I saw that. Conjecture, please come in.
Well, I was just going to say, we take a note out of, the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. You pay everybody else their dues, but you never pay yourself. Take that money and invest it.
Yep. There you go.
Well, it's like I was saying the other day, if I hit the lottery for like almost $1 billion, what would I do with all that money? Well, I'd buy companies. I'd keep people at work.
Yep.
See if I could expand some. See if I could change some into something else.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions for Dimi or Fringe?
Well, let me ask a general question. Right?
Sure.
There are a couple places out there that make bullion jewelry. Right. So in the case of gold, there are a couple places that make 22 and 24 karat.
Yeah.
Pretty much all silver jewelry out there. Does anybody make actual bullion grade silver jewelry?
I don't know.
Sure
Fringe,
Mike
do you know?
Maloney would make it.
Give me just a second on it. I'm going to get some extra input.
I know Mike Maloney, he was a big one into the 24 karat gold jewelry.
Yep. I don't know that he was making silver jewelry, though, Mike.
I don't know, but I think he said they were interested in, they were looking into it.
Okay.
And this
So,
was 2 or 3 years ago.
My local coin store, he's a Persian guy, and I go down there pretty often and have a good chat with him. And I've seen him, he actually makes jewelry there and melts things down. I know he does gold, but I'm not sure if he does silver. It's something I could ask him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he'd use pure silver. He probably, you can still mill old silver, like sterling silver. I've seen people turn old silverware into rings and necklaces.
I had just gotten some extra input, but we're both thinking the only people that we've seen do that are normally smaller people. I don't think that there's actually a company out there that necessarily advertises, 999 silver. I wear a silver ring on my finger all the time, but it's actually a native woman that created it. I picked it up in Mexico.
For wearing, it's all just about sterling. It's
Yeah, it is
mostly
sterling.
silver.
It's still,
This
that's,
one's $9.
sterling's considered investment grade, though.
Yeah, it's jewelry grade.
Well, jewelry
sterling
grade,
silver.
plus it maintains its value. You know, it goes up with silver. So,
Well, when you're buying jewelry, you're actually buying for the manufacturing. You're actually paying manufacturing costs. You know.
Right. So
But
I will say
the markup.
one place where you will see a lot of silver jewelry move is if you go to a lot of the jewelry vendors that cater to like the Renaissance Fair community. They do a lot of business.
Yeah,
Most
I
of
didn't
their
think about
business
that.
is in silver. And so I've gotten a number of pieces for my wife from a local guy out here in Virginia that does wonderful, Celtic style stuff. But
Is it sterling or is it?
no, it's
3.9?
sterling. It's sterling. So I'm just curious if anybody's going the 3.9s route.
See, sterling, it's still hard enough to resist wear, but it's still malleable.
yes, it
without
is.
having to heat it too high. You can heat it up with a torch and then put it on a spinning machine and then smooth it out and shape it by pressing pieces of wood against it. I've seen Mexican craftsmen do that.
The only pure piece of silver that I have, 3.9s, is this small ring on my finger. Everything else, I believe, is sterling.
Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
I've seen Mexican craftsmen turn silver coins, but they were the old circulating coins, 90% silver or sterling silver, and turn them into conchas.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. Let me have a few thoughts here before we wrap her up. So basically, just thoughts, for Dimi, a social media campaign that extends beyond Reddit and Twitter into Facebook. Does WallStreetSilver have a presence on Facebook? Dimi?
Yeah, we have a small presence on Facebook. I was actually talking about that.
Okay, because I think, by the way, Fringe can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's probably more women on Facebook than there are on Reddit. That would be my guess.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Okay. And thank you for the ladies' point of view for us this evening, Fringe. It's been appreciated. But basically, a meme campaign on Facebook might help us out in this regard. A billboard or two, maybe as well. But silver's for everybody, and silver's going up in value. There's no reason to, for the men to hoard it all. Women can have some too. It's okay. As Fringe has demonstrated for us tonight, starting at 18 years old, by the way. Congratulations on that. So,
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to open it up again for any final thoughts from Dimi. Dimi, do you have any final thoughts in regards to the conversation tonight, or anything you'd like to give us, some juicy tidbits from our good friends at WallStreetSilver?
One thing I'd like to point out is that our
Dimi, I'm sorry, you're cutting out, buddy. Can you say that again?
Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
One thing let me switch to my, I'm downloading. One thing I wanted to say is that our subreddit, we only started on January 29th, so we've grown so much already so far, so in 1 month already, so.
Yeah, how many folks do you have on your Twitter?
It's 11,000, and that's only been up for about a month now.
Holy mackerel. That's huge.
So if we keep up the pace, nobody really knows how much we can really grow in the future.
One thing I gotta say is that the secret is to take the physical off the market. That's what everybody's been saying, and it's the truth. If what is the estimate? About 1% of the population in the West owns actual silver.
Something like that. It actually, I've heard estimates as high as 3%, Mike.
Well,
but
if we can raise that up another percentage point or two, it's going to make a real difference in the physical supply.
Yes, it will. And that's the thing. That's what we're doing. We're brainstorming tonight. And that's why I wanted to talk to Dimi a little bit about this, the billboard campaign, which is important. Go ahead, Mike.
And then also people were talking through the night, and I listened, just stayed quiet and listened. And, the comics and all those things, they were all made as scams by the government. They were letting business banks take advantage of making gold legal again by making sure nobody owned it again,
Sure.
by making sure they had control of the stockpile, making sure to wash out the guys who were in the money at the end of the month, every month, making sure that nobody wanted to risk buying gold to lose money month after month after month. Same thing with silver. So it was like wink, wink. We set up our racket between government and bank. We'll keep silver and gold weak so the dollar will remain king.
Right.
And that's the way they've been playing the game ever since.
Yeah. No, I understand. And but see, that's what WallStreetSilver is trying to do, is to shut down that operation. I mean, the corruption is extreme. I know there are other YouTube channels that have talked about the corruption. I simply talk about the corruption.
Well, it's not corruption in a way. It's policy. Policy that was decided by presidents that are long dead.
Yep. And I understand that. By people that... Go ahead.
Hey, Timmy, you made a good point about Facebook. And Facebook, I've seen there's a few groups on Facebook that Dimitri might want to look into, and it's where people are buying and selling in those groups. And they're pretty well regulated by the moderators or admins or whatever you call them. I've seen them pretty successful. So it might be something you want to look into. For instance, if somebody was willing to sell some silver and some people could go on there and buy it from them.
Yeah, I'm in one or two of those groups.
I'm in a lot of those groups as well. I think I've made like one transaction on them, but a lot of the Reddit guys, we prefer to use RPMs for sale. It's pretty big. It has 20,000 members, but I mean, I'm not against Facebook at all either. I just feel
What's the RPM thing?
It's RPMs for sale. It's a huge community where we all just sell metals to each other.
I always thought
I was thinking you could put it within, your Facebook group and kind of take more market share, not necessarily market share, but get more exposure, kind of like that too, to promote the message.
That'd be a good idea.
Just
I always thought Facebook was like a granny's thing,
Yeah.
It is in a way. All the grandmothers are connected.
Yeah, but all the 10-year-old kids are connected on Facebook too, Mike.
Well,
I mean, it's
like, well, that's how families are connected to each other nowadays.
Sure.
It's like, we're all on Facebook. If you want to know what's going on with us or with the family, just keep checking the Facebook page.
Yep, I get it, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with using Facebook to educate people either. And I think that's something that we need to take advantage of as a group here. And make sure people understand the silver story. And they save for the future and they get ready for, inflation. Make sure they understand this. Okay. All right. Now, I said this several times before, but I'll open it up for any final comments or questions for Dimi or Fringe Files. If anyone has any questions or comments for Dimi or Fringe Files. Okay. That seems like it's probably about it. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to tell you that Dimi works with several other people in WallStreetSilver. They have their own YouTube channel. They're on Reddit. They're on Twitter. And apparently on Facebook. By tomorrow, I'll have them all linked at the description section of this video. Fringe Files also has her own YouTube channel, her own Twitter as well, and I'll get those linked down below as well. They're good friends of Truth, Money, and Freedom. And I would certainly appreciate it if you guys would check out their channels and sub if you could. I'd also like to say to anyone who's watching this after the fact, you may have missed out on the live podcast, but you haven't missed out on the conversation. We are Truth, Money, and Freedom. We're on Discord. You can join us. We actually have chats like this all the time. We also have a text chat if you choose not to use a microphone. That's fine too. We'd like to have you anyway. And I'd like to say before I close it out, Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. You all have a wonderful evening, and thank you everyone for joining us live on Discord and live on YouTube tonight. You guys all have a wonderful evening, and thank you again.